Hello.
Hello!
We have been watching Eurovision 2022 semifinal 2,
Yeah.
but we didn't feel like making a reaction video as we did with the first one
hmm
because we had some thoughts that we kind of needed to sleep on.
Yeah. Um, we found ourselves listening to some very emotional songs and just being left cold by them. But we also felt like we were kind of in the minority there because Twitter and lots of websites and the internet in general seem to really love the emotion of these songs. So we wanted to think about what left us feeling a bit cold. And well, one word kind of sprang to mind:
Yeah, and that word is
over
over singing.
singing. And what we mean by that, it's probably easier if we show you rather than tell you. So here's a couple of examples from last night. Every time I see that, I can relate to the dancer at the end of Azerbaijan's song kind of being blown away by those high notes, but not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, obviously, all of these songs were very emotional
Mm.
and they really wanted to get an emotion or a message across. But why didn't it speak to us as much as obviously the rest of Europe? Because
hmm
at least two of those
Yep.
songs go through.
hmm
Yeah. I've heard from somewhere that to get more of an impact with an emotion, you have to have a contrasting emotion.
hmm
So, for example, if you write a song that's sad all the way through, it might not have as much of an impact as if it would have been more of a bittersweet
hmm
feeling to it.
Mm. You have to take people on a journey, whether that's Jon Lundvik starting out with this kind of like, hey, how you been, and then ending with this big kind of like, is it too late for love? But it
Yeah,
takes you on that journey with him.
yeah, and that goes into something you were going to talk a bit about, which is the more technical
Yeah.
approach.
I had to think about, when I was listening back to the songs, how you can use your voice to take people on that emotional journey as well. The lyrics do one job, but it's your job as a singer to translate that into a performance. And there's a very common way that people do that, and that is through the different tones of your voice. And I move my hand like this because we call them head voice, which is this airy, kind of soft sound that's more of a hey kind of thing. And that's this kind of soft, welcoming, kind of intimate tone of, those kinds of feelings. The contrast to that is your chest voice, sometimes called belt voice, which is more of a hey. You can use both and a mixture and kind of transition between them in such a way that you can really paint feelings with your voice. You can really show, okay, this is a quiet, intimate moment, or no, this is something I feel really passionate about. And that's kind of the point about all of these songs, and what they all had in common is that word passion. The artists were so passionate about what they felt that they pushed more and more. And when you push, you're deep in your belt voice. So if you're in your chest voice all the time and you're starting to climb up and go into higher notes and you're pushing it more and more and more, you're more likely to be sharp. You're more likely to overhit it.
And obviously, some of these singers used that contrast that you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
but I also felt like there was too much giving it all from the first chorus,
Mm-hmm.
even more in the bridge, and then they
Mm-hmm.
have nothing left to give in the last chorus.
Everyone has a limit. Once you hit that, you have to push harder and harder and harder, and that's when you just lose the control. Singing is all about control,
Yeah.
and the more you're not thinking about what you're doing, the easier it is to lose that control, and you end up with this almost desperate feeling that, to me, it doesn't resonate. I don't go on that journey. I'm just feeling exactly like Azerbaijan's dancer, like, oh. So I think that's why it left me cold.
Yeah, but contrasting to this, then there was some singers that could control this really well. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think Cornelia Jacobs was one of them.
She has such a magic performance. And the switch between her voice is not this kind of like soft and intimate versus more belty, but it's more of a pure tone at the beginning, and it matches with the lyrics so well. And then as she builds through the song and her pain becomes more and more clear, she gets this gravel in her voice, and it's that enriches the tone. It's so special and so magic and so unique.
And she did it even more during this
Mm-hmm.
performance than on the recording, so it was a bit like, wow, she's taken it to the next
she's
level.
she's added in just enough, because that's something else that some people do as well, is they throw in these vocal tricks, and it doesn't need it. It distracts from the performance.
Hmm.
It really just feels sometimes like they're just throwing it in because they can, and maybe they don't always need to.
Yeah, but I don't think Cornelia Jacobs was over singing.
No. And someone else who I don't think was over singing, that really took you on a journey and made you feel a lot of things, was Ochman from Poland.
Yes.
And what's interesting about him is that he is a classical vocalist. I don't know for sure, but I would guess that the majority of singers in this competition have more pop backgrounds more than purely classical. It's different kinds of technique. Again, I won't go into it. But the way that Ochman takes his classical training and doesn't shy away from it, but uses it to his advantage in what is a very well written and produced pop song, it takes you on that journey. And then at the end, he has his little show off moment, his ad libs and bringing the range up. But it's just like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. It really makes it special.
Yeah, I'm really happy that he got through as well.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
that was my favorite of the male
Yes.
ballads of
Yeah.
the evening.
I
Can you
didn't
say
think I
that?
was going to enjoy that so much, but
Mm.
actually, it really, really did. In fact, there were a few songs last night that I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy, but ended up really, really liking. Romania was one of them.
Yeah, second half was better than the first half. In the first half, unlike semifinal one, where I thought
Mm-hmm.
every song was at least okay,
Mm-hmm.
in the first half of this semifinal, there were some songs that I just wanted to turn off, actually.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit hopeless until Stefan from Estonia rode in and saved the day.
It started off good with the Rasmus. That was a really solid song. And I also like Serbia because it's quirky, but in a very good way.
It's very clever, very cleverly written, very cleverly staged. Love that song.
And by the end, I don't think we were as disappointed as we felt in the beginning.
We only had 9 favourites. We could not pick a 10th.
No.
And the only one of our favourites that didn't get through was Ireland. She did really, really well, and for what it was, as pure pop song, it was very slick. It was very well done. She did the vocal excellently. She nailed her choreography. She did so well that I think it's a ballad year.
Yeah, and I think it was quite predictable that some of these ballads that we showed you were gonna get through.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said, I could have wished for a bit more
Nuance.
nuance in those songs. Yeah.
Exactly that. That's exactly it. If you're on a stage singing in front of thousands of people in an auditorium plus an audience of literally millions of people all around the world, you're going to have some nerves, and those nerves are either going to again cause you to push a little bit too hard, or you can kind of own them and be able to build from that to really think about your performance. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. I wouldn't want to do it. Actually, that I kind of would, but I'd also be terrified because that's a lot of people. And people like to have opinions. So, what are yours?
Yeah. Now you've seen all the countries in these two semifinals, except for the big five. There are some big favorites in there too. There is UK and Italy, quite high in the odds.
Spain as well.
Yeah. So, do you think any of them are going to win, or any of the countries from these semifinals? We have Sweden from the semifinal, is very high in the odds as well, and from last semi it was Ukraine
as well. Yeah.
Who will win Eurovision Song Contest 2022?
Are we in for a surprise, or is it a foregone conclusion?
Write in the comments.
Let us know. And if you've enjoyed this kind of video, please feel free to subscribe. We aim to put out interesting videos that aren't just pure reactions.
Some Eurovision facts and some facts about the Swedish Melody Festival. And we're going to put out something about the final as well, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. And who knows, maybe if we feel inspired, we might just put out some covers or something like that. We'll see where the mood takes us and which songs speak to us even after the contest is over. So I guess all that's really left to say is... News. Stop